All right, good morning. Thank you all for coming today. I know that there's quite a few people who are registered on the meetup who aren't in yet. So again, if they are coming and they log in, I'll be kind of sneaking behind the camera to allow them to join in. But what we're going to be doing today, I've got a couple of pieces of equipment out in front here. All right, so mini band, dumbbell if you have some, or a kettlebell, a weight if possible. And then you'll need some type of chair or bench today. All right, I'm going to be using my bench back here in the corner. Today's emphasis, we've got bridges, dips, and supermans. All right, today is going to be heavily postural. We talked about that a little bit last week, and we're going to continue with that thread today with another three movements that I think are very, very important for posture on the run, posture on the bike, and posture in the water. So what we're going to start out with today, everybody is going to grab their mini band. All right, if you do not have a mini band, all right, what you're going to do is very similar to what we did last week, if you remember that, with the ABCs, okay? And so ideally, you have your mini band. You're going to put that on around the ankles. All right, that is going to be the hardest variation down at the ankles. The higher you move it up on the legs, especially up to the mid calf, below the knees, or even above the knees, it will be easier, okay? But what we're going to do here, we're going to widen our feet out to about shoulder width. All right. And so you should have some tension through the sides of the hips, tension on that band. We are going to do a forwards, backwards walk. All right. But you want to imagine like your feet are on train tracks. All right. Those feet are going to go straight forward, straight backwards. We don't want to see any ducking. All right. We don't want to see any pigeon toeing. All right. We don't want to see these feet come super close. All right. We're going to use our arms like we're running. Okay. So we're going to step forwards, forwards, backwards, backwards. All right. That's one. We're going to do 10 of those on each side, feeling that tension through the hips. All right. And so you should find a good rhythm here. All right. And those steps shouldn't be very big. All right. We want to imagine as though we're just kind of stepping 1 foot forward, the next foot up, and then 1 foot back, the other foot back, about the distance of your foot. All right. And so it's forward, forwards, backwards, backwards. That's one. All right. Again, notice how I'm using my arms like I'm running. We're going to go 10 with 1 foot leading forward. So right now I'm leading with my left. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other. Okay. And so a little bit of rhythm, a little bit of coordination, and warming up those hips. All right. Very nice. And relax. We're going to switch to the other side. So now you should have the other foot leading forward. All right. And again, we're going to do 10 of those on each side. Now, the importance of this. All right. When we run, running is a linear stimulus, forwards and backwards. All right. However, because we are in single stance, all right, we have 1 foot on the ground at any given time. That means that we have a lateral stabilizing component. All right. So when you're down on the ground on that single side, right, we need that hip to stay nice and strong. If it's starting to sag down, right, you see those photos where you're kind of all, cattywampus, all, kind of curved in your stability. That's because our glutes aren't actually stabilizing us in that pattern. Okay. And so as we transition this with the band, it's going to allow those muscles that work with us while we're running to continue to operate. All right. So we're going to do one more round of that. All right. So again, throw that band on, keep that band on around the ankles. All right. We're going to do 10 on each side. Okay. Forward, forwards, backwards, backwards. And then we'll move on to the next movement. Okay. So here we go. Forwards, forwards, backwards, backwards. That's 1, 2, 3. Feel the tension. 4. Through those glutes. 5, 6. Keep the chest nice and tall. 7. Pump those arms. 8, 9, and 10. Very good. Now take a small break. We're going to move to the other leg. All right. So make sure that other leg is leading forward. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Very good. All right. Again, you should feel the burn right at the sides of those hips if you got that one right. All right. So now go ahead. Take that band off. All right. We're going to put that band around the wrist. All right. If you don't have a band, you'll just do the movement without the band. All right. And so it's all about intention. All right. And so what we're going to be doing here, we're going to be doing a serratus reach. All right. So the band position to start is going to be right out in front of you. Okay. Hands are going to be parallel. We have tension against the band. All right. And so what we're going to be doing here is we're going to maintain that tension as we reach those hands up to elbows at shoulder height. All right. And again, I still have that tension here. I've got my arms parallel the entire time. All right. And then we pull them right back down to center. Okay. If you're feeling really good with this movement, okay, that's the beginning stage. Finishing that movement to the top is the next progression of this. All right. Feel free to progress to that today. All the way to the top. We're going to do 2 sets of 10, and then we'll get into the main work here. All right. So it's up. If you're feeling really good, reach all the way to the top. The key here, though, again, is that you maintain tension on the band the entire time. If you're starting to get into this position and losing it at the top, it's not going to be good for you, right? You're going to be using too much trap. You won't be using the serratus, which is a breathing muscle and a stabilizing muscle for your shoulder that's in the rib cage. All right. So we should be coming up on 9 and 10. And relax. Okay. So we'll take a small break, about 20, 30 seconds, and then we'll do round number 2. All right. So again, here we go. We have our mini band. We start with that tension about 90 degrees here. We're going to be doing sets of 10. Last one here. Ready? Here we go. Up. And again, if you're reaching all the way to the top, finish it out. We're doing 10. Feel the burn at the sides of the shoulders. All right. Feel that burn down underneath the armpit into the rib cage. As you reach overhead, make sure you're not arching that back. You're not losing your nice posture with your core. We've got 2 more. Last one coming up. Very nice. And relax. Very good. All right. So again, if anybody's got any questions, leave them in the chat. I'll be able to see them. We're going to be moving on to our main set today. And so we've got bridges, dips, and Supermans. All right. Again, if anybody needs any specific changes or they would like a progression, regression, please type that in the chat. I'll be able to do that as we go. But what we're going to be doing here, we're going to be lying down on our backs. I'm going to get my mat ready for this. And we're going to go with the bridge here. All right. We're going to continue that same line of thought that we did in the warm-up. So if you've got your band, you're going to put it on above your knees. All right. So we're going to put that band on just above the knees. We're going to lie down on our back. All right. And so, again, we talked about running being a linear motion, straight forwards and backwards. But we need lateral stability in order to maintain our hip stability while we run. So the band is going to provide our lateral stimulus. We're going to do this bridge in what is called Pilates style or a spinal roll-up. All right. So what you want to be able to do is press your lower back into the ground, lift your hips up off the ground, but do it as you roll your back off the ground, right? So your hips should not just lift off the ground, okay? You want to feel those vertebrae roll off the ground one at a time. Notice how slow that is. Your goal should be to feel a stretch through your quads and your hip flexors at the top, all right? If you're not finding that, 2 things. Either you disengaged your core, or B, you've lifted your hips up without rolling them off the ground, okay? So we're going to do sets of 8, where again, we focus on rolling up off the ground, rolling back down onto the ground, all right? Focus on squeezing the glutes and getting that stretch in the quads. If you're feeling really good, you can add a weight across the hips to add a little bit of extra stimulus, all right? Here we go, all right? We should be breathing out as we lift, breathing back in as we return to the floor, okay? Ready? Here we go. Again, feel those glutes squeezing, roll up off the ground, roll back down onto the ground. Feel that stretch in the quads at the top. Because of the positioning of the core, you might also feel those hamstrings want to cramp up a little bit. That's normal, okay? However, that can be alleviated by your feet position, okay? So if your feet are too close to your butt, you'll get a very aggressive stretch in the quads. You'll also probably cramp up through those hamstrings a little bit easier. So relax that foot position out away from your butt, and that should solve that equation. All right, last rep here. And relax. All right, we're going to take 30 seconds between rounds on this one. Again, all we're focusing on finding is that stretch through the quads, all right? What we're doing here is called reciprocal inhibition, all right? Because of our sport, because we're always in arrow position, because we have our hips hinged for hours on end on the bike, what ends up happening is that the hip flexors shorten up, the glutes and the hamstrings get weak. We end up with things like low back pain, hamstring tendinopathy. We end up with things like hip flexor tightness or even quad strains because we're not strong enough to overcome the pattern that we put ourselves in with that hinge. So this is directly opposing that, and we need to do it in a way that actually gets us the outcome we're looking for, which is opening up those hips and strengthening the glutes and hamstrings. All right, so here we go. We're going with round 2. Again, breathe out as you lift, breathe in as you return, roll that back off the ground, find that quad stretch. Here we go. Sets of 8. Now the pressure through your feet, all right? You should be pressing through the mid portion of your foot, all right? Right through the center of the arch, all right? If you feel pressure through the balls of your feet or through your heels, just push through the feet in a slightly different way. You might even try and rock through your foot to say, okay, where am I? Rock those feet from heels to toes. Find out exactly where that pressure is in your feet and find the midpoint in that foot as it feels through the pressure, all right? Again, that's number 5. We've got 3 more. Again, all we should be looking for is quad stretch at the top, squeezing the glutes and feeling the core engage through the breath pattern. Got 1 more rep. And relax. Very good. We're going to do 1 more round of that. So now, when you're doing this, let's say at the gym, right? Or you have access to maybe other equipment. What we want to be trying to do is, again, get stronger, right? This is our opportunity to build some muscle mass, get a little stronger. And so you should be aiming for weights or intensities that are about 80% effort, all right? And so for 8 to 12-ish reps, that's a good goal there. 8 to 12 reps, about 80% effort. It'll mean that you have a couple reps left in the tank after each set, but it should be pretty challenging, okay? So like today, you know, again, as I'm demoing, I've got the lightest band on and a 20-pound dumbbell. But if I were to do this workout on my own and not coach it, you know, I might look at like the heavy band and maybe like a 40 or 50-pound dumbbell, right? And so, but you need to find that stimulus for yourself. And so you have to be honest with yourself, all right? Is this about 80% effort? We're going into our last round here. So again, breathing in as we lift, breathing out as we lift, breathing in as we return. Here we go. Ready? 1. Again, roll that back up and back down off the floor. Feel that stretch through the hip flexors. Feel the tension through the glutes and the hamstrings. Feel that core engaged as you exhale. We got 3 more. Here we go. Last 2. And last 1. All right, very good. So go ahead. You can set that dumbbell off to the side. All right, you can also take that band off. Very nice. So now our next movement, I'm going to grab my bench. Right, if you got a bench, you can grab it. If not, grab like a dining room chair. All right, grab like something, or even your couch, or piano bench, something like that. Something that you can put your hands on. All right, and so what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be doing dips. All right, but the way that we do them is going to be aimed at stretching the chest, opening up your posture, and making sure that we do this in a way that, again, benefits you as an endurance athlete that has, postural needs, okay? Whereas, if we were just a bodybuilder looking to hammer out our triceps, we would do this a lot differently, okay? So the positioning of this, I'm going to flip myself in to the camera so everybody can kind of see that in relation. So what we're going to be aiming for here, all right, where your feet are in front of you is going to determine how difficult this is, okay? So the closer your feet are to you, the easier it's going to be. The further your feet are away from you, the harder it's going to be, all right? Our starting point is always going to be, and our finishing point is tall with good posture, okay? So this is our finishing point, okay? Tall through the chest, pushing down through the hands, lifting the chest. This doesn't help anybody, all right? And so, again, the intention behind the movement is very important. Lift through that chest, all right? So, couple of things here. As you come down, don't just collapse and roll forward, okay? No hunch flaps here. Keep the chest lifted. Feel that stretch through the chest, and then press back up and through. Lift the chest at the top. Notice how I kind of almost bridge my hips a little bit, all right? So the breath pattern here, in on the way down, out on the way up. Use the breath pattern to give yourself a little bit of power to get back up and get to that really nice posture, okay? Again, we're going to go with sets of 8 here. We're going to do 3 rounds here. Find the position that works best for you in terms of where your feet are, all right? Again, starting, stopping position, nice tall lifted chest. Here we go. In on the way down. Out on the way up. Lift that chest at the top. In on the way down, keep the chest lifted. Feel the stretch through the chest. Feel the stretch through those triceps. If this is bothering your shoulder at the bottom, you might be going too low. Again, range of motion is only good if you can manage it. And so if you can't manage the range of motion, then it's not beneficial for you. We got 1 last rep. Very nice. Go ahead, take a small break. So compromises in range of motion and form do not yield good results, all right? My coach always said when I was young, all right, it's not about practice makes perfect, all right? It's perfect practice makes progress, or purposeful practice makes progress. So with the intent of doing it to the best of your ability and executing that to the best of your ability, that's what gets you your progress, okay? And so don't just go through the motions, all right? Do it intentionally, all right? And that's why a lot of people end up doing a lot more volume than they actually need to, is because they don't have any intent behind their movements, okay? And so you can get way more out of 8 reps if you just do it the right way than if you did 40 reps and you did them the wrong way. So here we go again. We're going to go into round number 2. Again, some reminders. Push through the chest, lift the chest up towards the ceiling. Find your position with your feet. Breathe in as you're on your way down. Breathe out on your way up. Here we go. That's 2. Halfway. Again, use your breath. The breath is very important. It allows you to utilize your core very efficiently. And relax. Very nice. All right, we got one more round. Again, if you have any questions or you have any concerns, type them in the chat. Right, I'll be able to, make some adjustments on the fly. There's more variations to this. All right. Again, you can progress it all the way to a bar dip where, if you got a squat rack or you got really convenient countertops that are pretty close to each other, you can do full range dips if you're feeling really good and you're really strong. But you can also go with an easier form where you actually stand up rather than being on like a chair. Again, you do it sort of at countertop's edge or desk, and you use your legs a little bit more in like a squat pattern to help you out with that motion. So lots of different variations here. And I won't know what to tell you unless you put it in the chat, all right? Or if you have your video up, I can help with, again, cueing and things like that. If you're brave and you want your video up and you want some hands-on experience or coaching right on the bat, put them up there, all right? So last round, here we go. Again, posture. That's the whole theme today. Posture, posture, posture. Lift through the chest. Here we go. In on the way down, out on the way up. This is also really good for your swimming. So the end of that stroke cycle is always a tricep push. We got 3 more. And so that tricep to push out the backside of the water, very important muscle. Last one. Very good. All right, go ahead and relax. Go ahead, put those benches, put chairs away. And then again, we're gonna lie down on the floor to finish up today with our last movement. All right. Hurts my wrists. Okay. So 2 things there. How far apart should your hands be on the dips? So hands should be just wider than shoulder width. All right. And so it should be pretty comfortable. If you're too wide, what ends up happening is you end up using too much of the rotator cuff. And then if you're too close, you'll pinch up the shoulders in the front. So hands should be just comfortable. Like if you were to just put your hands down at your sides, that's where I would put my hands on the dips. Secondly, if it does bother your wrist being in that position, there's 2 ways that you can overcome that. Way number 1 is to turn your wrist backwards. Okay, that can be an option as you do that. That's not an option for everybody. The other option, which I think is going to be best, is going to be grabbing some type of dumbbell or something that can elevate your hand. So that way, when you do put it down on the ground or on your object, your wrist is now more neutral rather than bent. Okay, so that is an option for that particular movement. All right, good questions. All right, so last movement here, you can do it with or without the band. With the band is going to be harder on the rotator cuffs. It's going to be a little bit more swimming specific because you'll have some resistance. All right, but we're going to lie down on our stomachs. All right, so with or without the band, this is our position. Okay, we have the hands out in front, thumbs up to the ceiling. All right, when we do this lift, we're going to squeeze our glutes to lift our heels, and we're going to pinch our shoulder blades to lift the arms. Okay, we're going to do that at the same time. All right, but what I don't want to see is the lady on the front of the mast. All right, or we don't want to see any Rose on Titanic. We don't want to be like, yeah, I'm flying. Right, we don't want this scorpion position. So what I want everybody to think about is reaching forwards to the wall in front of you and reaching those feet back to the wall behind you. So it should look more like this rather than this. All right. We're going to go with sets of 12 on this one. All right. We're breathing out as we lift. We're breathing in as we return. So you should feel this in your butt, your hamstrings, and your upper back, not your lower back. Okay. Grab that band if you want it. And here we go. Breathe out as you lift, in as you return, and repeat. You should fully relax at the bottom, okay? Disengage from that movement, and that's going to allow you to teach your body to
engage all those correct postural muscles when you need to. Because when you're running, for example, there is a portion where you're in flight and you don't get any resistance. It's just you floating through the air. So your body has nothing to push against. And so it loses that tension a little bit. And so by learning how to engage those muscles, especially as your feet hit the ground, super important for your posture. We got 2 more. And relax.
Very nice. All right.
So set to 12 on these ones, all right? And so our core, everybody just thinks of their abs, right? Everybody thinks of their abs, their abs, their abs. The breathing, yeah, absolutely. So when we're doing that particular movement, and any movement, we always breathe out on the concentric. Yeah, absolutely, yes. So when we're doing that breath pattern, so as we exhale, that's the lifting portion of the movement. So that would be like the push up, the standing up of the squat, the lifting on this particular Superman position. And so the breathing engages the diaphragm, but it also creates a brace, all right? So when you exhale, like imagine if somebody was going to punch you in the gut, right? And you exhale, right? We create that tension in our core. We create that tension within our body as we exhale. That's what we want to do here. But we want to do it in a way that is obviously more positional as we do our movement. When we inhale on the way down, okay, we're still creating that little bit of a brace by expanding the core and the diaphragm to support our spine, all right? And so let's go ahead and do our second set here. Again, we're in our position. We're breathing out as we lift the heels and the hands, and we breathe in as we return, all right? Here we go. Squeeze those glutes, pinch those shoulder blades, reach out towards the front and back wall. 2, 3, that's 6, halfway. 8, 9, 3 more. 2 more. Last one. All right, very good. All right. So we're only going to do 2 sets on that one today. All right. So 2 things on that movement. If you're having a hard time lifting your hands off the ground, it could be one of 2 things. Either A, you're not mobile enough, right? So you can't lift your arms up over your head without losing your core positioning, okay, right? And so that leads you into this position. Well, yeah, your arms are overhead, but you're arched versus something like this, right? So you might not be mobile enough through your thoracic spine and your shoulder. That might be injury. That might just be the job you're in. Again, that can be arrow position, right? Again, this is everything the opposite of what we just kind of did today. The second thing is you might not be strong enough. And so if you aren't strong enough to lift those arms up, but you can have the mobility to do it, you can bring your arms closer and do that same lift, all right? And so before everybody takes off, I want to make sure everybody does one specific stretch today, all right? We're going to focus on the calves. As we do this portion of the year, people tend to, ramp up their easy running miles. And that's where a lot of people can get injured with the extra miles, okay? So take care of your calves. What I want everybody to do is, find a wall, find something that they can push up against, all right? And what you're going to do is you're going to push up against that wall. We're stretching the back leg, okay? We're pushing that heel down into the ground, all right, in this position, all right? That's going to stretch the upper calf, the gastroc, all right? We're going to hold that for about 30 seconds. All right, stretching out those calves. So 30 seconds here. Again, we've got 4 really, really big main calf muscles in that area that do a lot of work for us. The gastroc, this upper one, is very important in simply just pushing the foot down, okay? The next one, you're going to bend the knee, okay? So you notice how that back leg, it bends. I'm trying my best to keep the heel on the ground. All right, it might pop up a little bit, But now we're dropping that stretch down into the soleus, the lower portion of the calf. This is what, connects very integrated into the Achilles tendon. It's also a big reason why people might get plantar fasciitis, is because the soleus is too tight. It's also what ends up having with like calf tendinopathy or Achilles tendinopathy, right? That's a big reason for it. And so 2 different ways that you can do the same stretch. Okay, one with the straight leg to get the gastroc, one with the bent leg to get the soleus. All right. Go ahead and switch sides. Again, throw that foot back there, push that heel down onto the ground, into the wall. Or again, we'll hold this for about 30 seconds, and then that'll take us to the end today. And so again, hopefully everybody's getting these videos. I want to appreciate each and every one of you who's waking up early in the morning to come and do this with me. I appreciate it. Tell everybody in the group, tell them how awesome these are and how much information you're getting out of them. And then if you have anything very specific to yourself, obviously I'm answering questions in the chat. Go ahead and bend the leg, get the soleus stretch now. But if you have more things. Okay, great question there, Deborah. And so it is the same exact stretch, okay? The one on the step, where if you're standing on a step and you just drop the heels down, that's more aggressive, okay? So if you can get to that option, that's great. All right. And you should be able, and you should do that. All right. It's not for everybody. Like, for example, if you do have a calf injury, it's probably a little aggressive and this would be a better option. And so, but if you can get onto a step and use that, use gravity as a bit more stimulus for that stretch, that's great. All right. I think it's, something that everybody should be able to get to. And on that note, again, if you have specifics, again, more so than what I can answer here, obviously in a 2 to 5 minute, section throughout the session here, right? Schedule in, right? You guys have our contact information. You guys get a discount. Get ready for the season. Come in, find your protocol, find the specific work that would be good for you. All right. Whether that's chiropractic adjustment, whether that's coming in here doing a movement assessment with me. All right. Yes, come in, do it in person with me. We can get very hands-on, give you a very specific protocol for all your needs, whether that's, again, I have a specific injury. I want to get faster. I just can't necessarily get into the right positions. Well, let's find out why. And the only way that we do that is by testing things, all right? If you're not testing, you're guessing, all right? And I don't know about you. My intuition, I feel like, is pretty good, but it's not 100%, all right? And so come on in. Get an assessment. Let's get this going. All right. And have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see everybody next week. Bye-bye.